Hi guys, I'm going to talk to you today about the requirements to travel abroad with your pet, and in particular what's required and pet passports and other bits and pieces. So there are various countries that it is a bit more complicated to travel abroad with your pet. There's lots of extra things that need doing as well. Australia is a good example of this. But today we're just going to concentrate on the basics, which is kind of travel within the EU. So number one, the most important thing is that your pet has got a microchip, and this is our way of kind of identifying them individually. And every time they visit the vet, then the microchip is checked and it's recorded on the notes, and it's very important that that's done. The second thing is they will need a rabies injection. The rabies injection is administered at the practice. It's very similar to kind of like a routine vaccination or an antibiotic injection, for example, so it's really quite quick and painless. Once the rabies injection has been administered, then we can make a pet passport, and it is an official veterinarian, a government appointed official veterinarian that needs to make up the passport. So vets have to go on an extra course to be able to do this, and it's something that requires kind of constant study to keep up to date with the laws. So once the rabies injection has been administered, then we can actually make a passport up for you, and here's an example of a passport. I'm going to kind of run through it with you from start to finish. So the first section of the passport is your details, so details of ownership, so your address and your telephone number and things like that. We then got your description of your pet, so their name, their breed. You've also got the opportunity to put a photo in there for them as well. Then we've got their kind of markings, and in particular their microchip number, which again is the most important way of identifying them. The next section is the bit about myself, the official veterinarian. So we've got all my details, and the address and telephone number of the practice, and also my official stamp. Next section is about the rabies injection itself, so when it was administered, how long it will last for, and when it will need doing again. And as we get towards the kind of middle and the back of the passport, there's a section that you can put details of kind of routine vaccinations, which are very important, so things like parvovirus for dogs and flu and enteritis for cats. And then towards the back of the passport, it'll need filling in terms of your pet's worming status and the flea and tick prevention, because as they go abroad, there's even more diseases that they can catch from worms and fleas and ticks. So it's very important to kind of control these diseases and stop them from kind of spreading in between countries. So this is why this section is important. And then right at the end, we've got a section which is the clinical exam section. So this needs to be filled in kind of 48 hours before you travel with your pet. So you pop them in, give them a full clinical exam, and make sure that they are fit to travel. So they're the basics, but the extra consideration now is the fact that the UK is leaving the EU, and this will mean that, as well as a rabies injection, we'll actually have to perform a rabies blood test as well. So previously you would have been able to have the rabies injection and then travel 21 days later. It's going to be a bit different when we leave the EU. So we'll need to administer the rabies injection. 1 month later, we'll need to perform a blood test and make sure that the antibody levels are high enough in the blood. And then once we've got the results of the blood test, and if they're high enough, then it's 3 months from the date of the blood test before you'll actually be able to travel. If the antibody levels aren't high enough, then we either have to repeat the blood test or repeat the vaccination and then the blood test as well. The vast majority of times, the blood results are absolutely fine. So the major difference is, if you are thinking of travelling to the EU after Brexit, it is going to be a longer period, so more preparation before you're allowed to travel. I think that's it. In summary, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to call the practice or send us an email. We can perform everything that I've discussed here at Sunderland Vet Centre, and we'd be really happy to help. And hope you have a fantastic holiday. I'm very jealous.